Before I get into today's video, remember to follow me on Twitter. So my Twitter, the link is in the description below. You can also find me. My handle is @JacksonKruger. Come over, say hi, and anyways, back to your regularly scheduled video. All right, let's talk about Von Miller, the former Super Bowl MVP who had a big impact in this Super Bowl as well. Multiple sacks in this one as well. He's, guy who you want playing for your team in the Super Bowl. There's no denying that. Let's get into not just what he did well in the Super Bowl, but what he did well this entire postseason run and really kind of showed, like, hey, this ended up being a great trade for the Rams. The way this play works is it's going to be him and Greg Gaines. Gaines is going to be running a gain here, actually, also known as a twist or a stunt, where basically what he does is he runs to the right guard's right, so you kind of get him out of position, and since the center is going to be already, leaning over towards Aaron Donald, which is towards the right of the screen, which is towards his left, basically you can potentially get a gap to clear up in between the guard and the center where Von Miller is going to try and run through. That's the way this play is hopefully supposed to work on paper. And look, as you see, it's working out. Von Miller does get through untouched. So good job by, everyone involved there with the Rams. You're able to get to this spot, but here's the issue, right? You have Joe Burrow, who is this really good athlete who can move around and escape pressure. Kansas City knows that all too well. So that's something that could happen. Burrow could try and outrun Von Miller. So that's the dilemma. And especially with there's kind of no one in containment right here, Burrow could get outside the pocket. However, Miller is able to chase Burrow down, get the sack. The ball even came out for a second, but I think the ground caused that fumble. But just a great play by Miller to be able to pull off that sack. And again, get a sack like that drives the quarterback back and can really stall a drive. So being able to finish off like that can just be a huge play. I thought this play was another one. Again, on this play, you are going to kind of see the value of Aaron Donald a little bit, since there is a tight end who's in the backfield who's going to be blocking, but he's blocking to the offense's left, since that's where Donald is. So putting Miller on the other side of Donald makes this a lot easier because he can create, pressure easier, because now he gets favorable matchups. He's going up one-on-one against Hakeem Adeniji, who isn't good. So this makes things just a lot easier. And it's not just that, okay, he's going to beat up on a bad guard, but he's going to, watch the move he's going to pull off here. Look, as you see, kind of sets up as though he, what is he going to do right here? Adeniji's already starting to lunge towards his right, and watch what Miller can do. He pulls off this spin move in such an incredible way. He is the one who eventually makes the sack, takes down Joe Burrow. Just great stuff from Von Miller against Joe Burrow, against Hakeem Adeniji. And, it is set up due to the greatness of this defensive line, but that's what's going to happen. When you have a lot of talented guys, everyone is going to be able to get through, and that's what kind of happened in the Super Bowl and how he was able to have such a big game there. Going back a couple of weeks to the San Francisco game, his value in this game maybe wasn't quite as much because, just getting pressure immediately, although he still did get some pressure, like what's going to happen on this one. Look, as you see, he's going to be able to, again, it just shows how strong he is, pushing around the strongest guys, in the world like that. Von Miller definitely still has it. And I also feel like I should mention Von Miller, it's not like he was looking washed up when he was in Denver. He was, playing well there as well. It wasn't like he was, a bum then. So really good stuff by Von Miller on a play like this, but it wasn't really just this that was his value against San Francisco. Let's go over to this play, because what are they known for? Well, they're not known for throwing the ball, they're known for running the ball. So on this play, you have a right tackle who's going to be going up one-on-one against Miller, trying to block him. And this is really where I thought Miller's value shined in the game against San Francisco. It was in the run defense, which they needed to find a way to slow down the run. They did, and that's really where they were able to be effective. As you see, Von Miller is going to be able to get around and make a quick tackle for nothing right there. That's just a great defensive play from Von Miller, and I thought this was really where his value was at its best in that NFC Championship game that, again, was a very close game, and without Von Miller, do they win that football game? There's a good chance they do, but it's a lot smaller than when they have him. You can kind of say the same thing for really, I think, all three of the final 3 playoff games. Arizona, they were winning regardless. But the other 3, you could totally make the argument that, like, who knows what happens if he wasn't on the field for any of those. Because, like, also in the Tampa Bay game, what's going to happen on this play is it's going to be a one-on-one block against Donovan Smith. And watch what he's going to do. As you see, look at how he's going to pull off this rip move, where you see how he gets his left arm underneath Donovan Smith's right arm right there. That's what he's going to do. And at this point, I mean, really for Smith, what he's going to try and do to counteract this is just push Von Miller behind Brady, who Brady did take a bit of a deep drop on this one, but also Miller's just a hard guy to push around. Watch, as you see, he is going to be able to barely move, actually knock the ball out, and then recovered the football. Now, this play at the time felt like the dagger that, just ended Tampa Bay's season. Matt Stafford and his center wouldn't get on the same page with the snap on the next play, and so eventually, the Buccaneers got the ball right back. But it was still, at the time, a huge play in the game, and Miller made just a ton of huge clutch plays throughout. Even in Arizona, he did have a couple splash plays in that one as well against that game, in that game. So just a lot of really good stuff from Von Miller. So yeah, I mean, listen, it's such a crazy, I guess there's 2 crazy ways to think about it, right? There's first Von Miller's perspective, which is he plays for Denver for all these years, wins a Super Bowl MVP with the Denver Broncos, and then, since Peyton Manning retired, it hasn't been the greatest of times. It hasn't been, a garbage franchise, but they've struggled to really find the starting quarterback they want. They haven't been able to make it back to the playoffs since then. He eventually gets traded here to the Rams, gets a fresh start, and ends up winning a Super Bowl. That's awesome. Also, I think the value of going out and trading for Von Miller. It's interesting where people kind of question, did they overpay for Von Miller? Like, did they overpay for Matthew Stafford? But the payment they gave up for those guys is all future payment. Like, they don't have to feel the effects of those this season. So it only helps them this year. So obviously it would have hurt them had, let's say San Francisco held on to win that game. Like, okay, now we feel a little bit differently about those trades, but that's football. You always have to take a risk. That's just sports in general. That's life in general, is if you really want to accomplish something great, it's not going to be by making the safe decision every time. You're going to have to take a chance. You're going to have to take a risk. And that's what the Rams did to get Von Miller, and boy, did it pay off. He was just incredible in very many facets of the game for the Rams. So that's what I think. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on Von Miller's performance? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.